welcome to Bold Ladies in Business Podcast Coffee Connection.
Yay! Thank you so much for having me.
I'm so excited. We have an incredible guest today. We have Macy Baxi. She is a platinum sponsor with the Bold Ladies in Business, and she is the podcaster of the season. She's a TED Talker, and it is why I love Flagler County. How exciting!
Yay! Thank you so much. I'm so honored to be here.
We're excited to have you, but we always have to start with our coffee. I know you have some water. You said you just started your coffee or your water. So let's drink up. I have coconut water. I don't have coffee. Not gonna
Yummy.
lie. All right, girl. I now turn the tables around so I get to interview you. Yeah,
Yay!
right.
Yeah.
Um, I love you so much. I'm going to ask you your first question. You're going to dive in. So tell me about your business and why you're so passionate about it.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things where you have a coach and your coach kind of tells you to do something and you're like, all right, I'll just follow it. But then you really find out why that person was pushing you in that way. So I started podcasting about 3.5 years ago. I was 17, and it really didn't start out as like meaning to be a podcast. My dad just he has had a huge network for my whole life. He's been a business coach my whole life. So he's like, hey, why don't you interview some of my friends just for 15 minutes and just kind of learn about their businesses, learn like have them tell you some of the important lessons they've learned and just start, having conversations with them, really recording them and posting them if anyone wants to see it. But he's like, just learn, and connect with them. And he was like, I want you to do 100. And I was like, that's an insane number. That's so many. Okay. So I was like, okay. So I knew a lot of these people because I was always very involved with my dad's businesses. So it wasn't like super, super scary, but obviously it was a very daunting subject and topic for me to breach. But it took me about 2.5, almost 3 months maybe, to do those first 100. And I really, really pushed. And I did like 4 or 5 a day, just like really talking to people and really getting the skills of being an interviewer under my belt. Because I didn't realize how much of a skill it was going to be. Because I'm like, yeah, I can talk to people, I can have conversations, but it's a whole nother wheelhouse to have a conversation, record it, especially when you guys have like a desired outcome or topic that you want to talk about. So making sure that everyone stays on track and stuff.
Yeah.
It's making sure everyone stays on time. It's a thing. I'm sure you've really learned it through the past few months as well. Is like, hey, it's not not every episode is the same. No conversation
Never.
is really the same. So yeah, so it was really, really fun that I was really starting to love it in different ways of talking to people and connecting with people. And I was really loving the connection that it's building. So fast forward a few years, we moved down to Florida, and I really wanted to get to know the community, but we didn't really know how we wanted to start getting to know people. So I was like, why don't I do a podcast focused on the community so I can really get to know the community? I don't want to go too crazy, too fast, or anything like that. I was like, I just want to get to know the people around us and stuff like that. So that's why I started Why I Love Flagler County. And it was great. I went out for a few times, and it was really daunting at first to meet people and talk to them about it. But everyone has just been so kind. So I've done about 185 or so. And you were one of the first ones, I want to say. You were probably in the first like 30 that I ever did,
Yeah.
which was a lot back then, but it looks kind of almost like nothing now. And we've known each other for so long now. But Anna is one of those connections I had where I begged the question to ask, where I was just like, hey, Anna, can you connect me with Anna? And Rochelle was like, I would love to. And I was like, perfect. And now we're here. So it's really awesome. So that's really one of those things where someone has a vision for you, and there's a reason they have that vision for you. So it's always great to have someone like that in your corner.
I love that, and I know you need to touch on your biggest accomplishment to date. Obviously, you're so young, and at first, I kept saying, "Who is this girl that wants to get to interview me?" At first, I was like, "I don't even know who it is," but there was something about you that I said, "Okay, let's go for it." I said, "Let's do it." So you were very bold, in following through. Not, another young person might not have been that bold and said, "Let's go out and do this," right?
Yeah. Yeah,
Which
it
has
was really
taken you to your
scary.
next level of success. So share a little bit about that.
Yeah, so it was just posted as well, and I was really, really excited because they told us it was going to be a while. So I was like, "Oh, okay." But recently, at the end of August, I gave a TEDx talk in Denver, Colorado, and it was one of those experiences that I can try very hard to describe, but it's probably will never do the entire experience justice. All the feelings I had. I remember like when I got the email, I had gotten a few TEDx rejection emails because what you do is you go out and you can
Yeah,
apply and
yeah,
you submit your idea, you submit a little bit about you can submit your credentials. It just depends on the event. So I'd gotten a few emails being like, "Oh, we loved your entry, but doesn't work at this time or whatever." I'm like, "Okay." So I get this email this Wednesday morning at like 6 in the morning because I was going to go down to Orlando for an event that Anna and I were both going to with a few other bold ladies as well. And so I was like, "Oh, I have to get up early. I have to drive to Orlando. I had to take my younger brother with me, which means I have to wake up like an hour earlier because it takes him an hour to wake up, you know."
whoa.
So, but yeah, so I was going through my email and it was like this like weird email was like an update on TEDx Cherry Creek VHS. And I was like, what is this? And it's just another rejection. Let me just read it and get it out of the way. And it's like, we at TEDx Cherry Creek HS are so honored. And I was like, honored to reject me?
Oh,
And I was like, what? And they were like, we're so honored to have you. And I'm like, have me be rejected? Like what? This is the weirdest rejection email I've ever read. But then I finally read, they were like, we'd love to have you on August 31st in Denver, Colorado. Here's the speaker packet, all the information about the event, how to prepare, what we're going to do to help you. And I was like, whoa. And I sent it to my dad, and I was working with a TEDx coach at the time who helped me a lot with refining my idea and writing my speech and all those great things. Um, and they were like, congrats, you did it. And I'm like, I did it? Did I really? So I got that around May, and then so I had a few months to prepare, and it was a crazy few months, and I just kept putting like, I'm just gonna do the work, I'm just gonna write the speech, I'm just gonna practice, really make sure I work on it and stuff like that. And then, the event came and I had such a great time. I was with such a great community of people
yeah,
who just wanted to support me. Everyone was so happy to do it, and they were so happy to support, there was
yeah.
9 other speakers with me at the event. So we just had a great time uplifting each other and really getting the nerves out of the way. And then earlier this week, I found out it was posted, and TEDx doesn't tell you when they post it,
Oh,
which is
wow.
funny. So I was at an open house event for a Toastmasters Club, which is a public speaking club. And I was just giving my testimony on how Toastmasters has helped me in my public speaking journey and my TEDx talk. And then I was talking to one of the ladies after. She goes, "Oh, I'm so excited to watch your talk when we get home." And I was like, "Watch
What?
what?" And she was like, "Your talk." And I was like, "There's no talk yet." And she goes, "Is this not you?" And it had been posted for like 8 hours and it had 1,000 views already. And I was like, "Holy crap, I
Yeah,
didn't know." So yeah, that was an amazing experience.
I
I think I'm
love it.
still like reeling and everything,
Yeah. And you know what? I think, hey, live every moment in it. This is your moment to shine. Why not? It's a big accomplishment and you deserve it. Live
Thank
that big
you.
life, girl. I'm happy for you. I can't wait. I'm like cheering you on. I listened
Thank
to it in the car and I thought, oh my God, that's so exciting. So, yeah, we could keep talking about this all day. We're gonna dive into the second question. You're being one of those clients that I need to coach. Anyway, so share with us how Bold Ladies has impacted your business and what kind of connections have you made here?
Oh my gosh, just a great, yeah. What kind of connections have I
I
made,
don't
really?
know. Figure.
Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, Anna was a huge connection, and it just so happened that I showed up to an event, I think in January, and I was very new with the podcast. I was very new with in-person networking. I hadn't really done a lot of it. And I was just so nervous, and I was invited by Kim Sunshine, who was a really great friend, is a really great friend. And she's like, just come, like, you don't have to, she's like, just come. I know we have some open spots. So I came and I had met this lady, Rochelle, and she was so nice and so kind. And she's like, let's get together and do a coffee connection. I'm like, oh, yeah, I'd love that. But I remember sitting in that meeting on January, and I didn't know anyone in that room. And I was just like, I would love to work with Anna. I would love to have her like with the podcast. Like, I was thinking of different ways. I'm like, let me start thinking of ways to call. Like, it was just coming to me. I didn't really have to go out and do it. I was just like, oh, I'd love to do this with Anna. And so I met with Rochelle. We had the best time ever. It was a great
Yeah,
connection. We had so much in
it's
common.
great.
And I was just like, hey, can you connect me with Anna? Just like put us in a phone like group chat and stuff. Like, I'll take care of it. She's like, okay. And then Anna, and I talk, and I was so honored that, that week she had an opening. So we did the podcast. And I remember immediately after the podcast we recorded, you called me and you're like, you know what? I've been thinking of doing a podcast. We should talk. And I was like, oh my God, this is
Yeah,
insane.
yeah.
So you've been one of the best connections that I have made in Flagler, and it's been so much fun. And just the entire community was super
Yeah.
helpful when I was starting that podcast, and no one knew who I was.
Yeah.
But the bold ladies were like, hey, she's another bold lady. We got to help her. Let's go out and do it. And I had so many amazing interviews from that. And from that, they were telling their other friends outside of bold ladies. So a lot of the numbers that I did are, hugely successful because of bold ladies.
I love it. She didn't know that. That's why you don't know who you're going to speak to and how it could change your life, because you didn't know that we had already had this on the table and this was
Mhm.
something that was going to happen. I was already finding other people to do the podcast, but when you and I met, I said, no, this is my person. Like, we had all the dynamics, you and I, and I love that I said, listen, meet me for coffee here, and you were there in 30 minutes, and that's the kind of people that I work with. If you would have said, oh, I have to think about it, you would have been out. You don't even know
No, yeah. And I'm the same way. So it's
yeah,
perfect that we ended up like I think I did have like an original call at that time, but I think
yeah,
something happened and we had to
yeah,
move that anyways. And so
exactly.
you were like, "Hey, I'm here at Starbucks already. Like, let's go." And I'm like, "Oh, okay. I'm
Yep,
in the
we're
car.
there.
I'm going out right now. I'm fine."
You're like
Um,
the other half of my brain. Like, you knew that this was it.
yeah.
I
And
love it.
I was
I
so
love
happy for
it.
that too.
So great. And then of course, they'll say, oh, you're young. What do you know about business? Well, you have a dad that's a business coach, your mom who's a financial coach. So you have a lot of experience in that. So you can share this last question. If you had one tip that would help anybody that's young, that's older, been in business forever, or is just starting their business, what great tip can you give them to make them a great entrepreneur?
Yeah, I think, me and my dad were just talking about this, and it's one of those easy pieces of advices you hear, and you're like, oh my gosh, that's so basic. Everyone knows
Yeah,
this, but it's sometimes so hard to implement. And that is, just starting with something. And my dad and I were talking where he's like, yeah, I want to start pushing one thing that we made out. He's like, it's not perfect yet, but I just want to get it out there. I want to start, and we can continue revising it. And it's not to say like you go out into the world with like a half-baked plan or something,
right.
but as long as it's, reasonable and it makes sense and people can understand that, just go out and start talking about it. Like for example, I didn't know that you guys were looking to start a podcast, but I was
Exactly.
just like, you know what? Let me just reach out. What's the worst that could happen? I just
Yeah,
want to reach out. I didn't even tell you that I was thinking of collaborative ways. I was like, you know what? I made that first connection. Let me continue building this relationship and then I'll talk to her. And then you called me literally immediately.
yeah,
And it would have never happened if I didn't just go, let me just, the podcast isn't perfect yet. My idea isn't perfect yet. I didn't have like the perfect script in the beginning of like my introduction of my
right.
closing. And it wasn't 1000% polished when I first started the podcast. Cause I was like, you know what? I just need to go talk to people. I need to connect with people. And I still made an amazing connection with you regardless. And to
Yeah,
me, you were like this like huge fish in Flagler, and you are, but for me it was so intimidating at first. I was like, I didn't want to talk to her. I was so scared. Like she doesn't have time for me. She has so much. I know she's so busy. But I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna do it. I'm just gonna ask the big question, the bold question.
yeah,
Can you connect us?
yeah,
And I think that's sometimes we all just get stuck. It doesn't look perfect. Oh,
yeah,
I could change this. I could change that. I'm like, you could, or you could just start and learn along the way that maybe in the end you didn't have to change like this shade of purple to that shade of purple.
yeah.
It didn't matter because you were starting to talk to your ideal clients. You were starting to sell the product you wanted to. So that's definitely what the biggest thing that I've ever learned
I
in
love
anything
it.
that I've done.
You know that saying, we say it all the time, if you don't ask, the answer is always going to be no, right? And you
Right.
just don't know what it could look like. You could change somebody's life. It could be the perfect connection, be at the right place at the right time. And I always say it doesn't have to look perfect. Just start. Start. Just do it.
Right.
Just do it. I love it so much. That was amazing, Macy. I'm so excited. You're such an inspiration, not just for the our Bold Ladies community, but people that'll come on YouTube. And I know you'll have your part in spreading the love. But the
Thank
younger
you.
the younger generation needs to see that it can happen at any age. You just have to be willing to do the work and put yourself out in that uncomfortable situation to make it happy.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Anna, for your time today. This has been such an honor to be on here. I had so much fun.
I'm so excited. So we're going to drink to that, but we're going to finish at the end. We're not going to finish yet. So if somebody wants to find you
Mhm.
and they want to reach out to you, what is the best way that they can reach out to you?
The best way is you can Google my name. Thankfully, there's not too many of us out there. So all of my LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything is under Macy Baxi. B as in boy, AXI is my last name. And it's Macy with a Y in case anyone was curious.
Yes.
But yeah, go ahead, Google me. All of my information, like my email, is just pretty much accessible anywhere. My Calendly is usually just somewhere. So I would love to talk, would love to connect with anyone, and I would love to have, if you're in the Flagler area and you'd love to come on the podcast, we'd love to have you.
Yay. I'm excited. And when this is done, don't leave the podcast, because you're going to get to go into the directory and you'll see that beautiful setup that she has there with the directory, all her information, a little bit of info from her. And if you're not a bold lady, which you should be, I don't know why not, I have a cute little video that shows you how you can become a bold lady in business. We have several chapters, so stay tuned for all that information. You've been amazing, Macy. Thank you so much. I always say, go big, go bold, and have a great day.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Hi, my name is Anna Reyes-Ouzts, Executive Director, Bold Ladies in Business. If you're looking to network and make a difference in your community with like-minded women and make connections at a deeper level, guess what? You have come to the right place. Bold Ladies in Business has several chapters all over the state of Florida, and we would love to hear from you. Again, Bold Ladies in Business, nonprofit organization. Go big, go bold. Bye.